Alrighty, so I'm gonna get the warm-up presented and give you guys about 7 or 8 minutes to work on it.
Okay. I got a mushy on my mind. Oh. What? You're frozen. Oh, there you are. Oh, no. You're frozen. You're lagging.
There we go. Is it going?
Like you're going
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the Wi-Fi.
Alright, so number 1, you have -9 minus -6. Make sure you do the keep change on that. So you do need to change that to an addition problem.
Really?
Yes. Number 2, write an equivalent expression for 14 decreased by a number p. So you need to do the variable with an addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, that type of stuff. Write in the expression. Number 3, 6/11 divided by 9/11. Make sure you simplify your answer that you get. And number 4, simplify. So make this into an exponent. You have 9 times 9 times 9, and then it challenges you to solve it this time. So not just write it, but also solve it. So go ahead and take about 7 minutes. So I'll give you 7 minutes on these 3, please. 4. Okay, be working, please. Quietly. Yep, solve number 4, please, too.
I don't get the personality of what you're doing. It sounds like are you supposed to subtract it?
So you start at negative 9. And then you here it is now, 15. Did you figure out which way you need to move? So you're adding 6 to subtracting 6 to negative 9.
That's just negative 14, isn't it?
Yes, it's neither of those.
No.
Alright, we'll do about 2 more minutes.
Negative 9 minus negative 6. I hate that.
Then skip it and go on to the next one.
Negative. I don't get any of them. Is negative 3? Yeah, so you're going this way, not that way? Oh. I didn't know that.
I'll explain it more. Just if you need to skip it, go to number 2.
So we're in there. Yeah, I would solve it together. Right, and there's one other marker. What did I have in my bag? My other marker.
Okay, let's go ahead and go over these ones. Sorry if you're not done. But
I got one of them right now.
okay,
I got 2 of them right.
so let me make sure that this is all good. Can we see it?
Yeah.
Alright, so number 1 here, we are taking negative 9, subtracting a negative 6. Now, when you do integers and you have a subtraction in the middle, you're supposed to do keep, change, not change, flip. Keep, change, change. So you keep the first one the same. You change the subtraction to what's the opposite of subtraction? Addition, and then you change your negative number to a what?
Positive.
Positive. So this is really negative 9 plus 6 when you change it all. So you're starting up at negative 9. Those of you online cannot see this. Hang on. Let's look at the number line here. We start up at negative 9. If I add 6, am I going to go more negative or positive? We're going to move in a positive direction to the right 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. What is your answer? Negative 3. Okay, that one's a negative 3.
I did the 4th one. I didn't get the challenge.
All right. So keep that in mind. Keep, change, change. Keep the first one, change subtraction to addition, and then change either a negative to a positive, or sometimes you have to change a positive to a negative. Okay?
That's the part that I don't get.
Number 2, we need to write an algebraic expression where the number 14 is decreased by p, which is our variable, right? It's our unknown variable. So we need to take the number 14 and decrease. What does decrease mean?
Down.
Down. So if we're going down, am I adding or subtracting?
Subtracting.
We're subtracting. If you decrease something, you're subtracting. Now, there's 2 options here. It's either going to be 14 minus p or p minus 14. We're taking the number 14 and decreasing it by p. So which should come first? 14 should come first. 14 decreased by p. Okay? So this one just goes right in order. 14 decreased by p.
That's the answer?
Yeah, this is your answer. Your expression.
Wow.
I know. Number 3, we're doing some division of fractions. You guys said keep, change, flip for this, but it actually goes for our fractions, right? Keep the first one, change division, flip the second one. So if I keep the 6/11, stays the same. 6/11. What do I change division to? multiplication. And what do I flip 9 11ths to? 11 over 9. What?
Isn't P minus 14?
Nope, because you're taking the number 14 and decreasing it by whatever P is.
Oh, I thought it was like, it was 11.
Nope, this one just goes right in order. 14 decreased by P. All right, so now we have our multiplication problem. What do I do?
Yeah.
Multiply. Straight across. What is 6 times 11? 66. What is 11 times 9? 99. Now we can simplify. What number goes into both of these? 2 does not go into both of them. Yeah, this is an odd number. 2 does not go into odd numbers. 33 goes into both. I also heard 11. Does it matter which way we go? No, let's go with 11. So let's do 11 first. What is 66 divided by 11? 6. And what is 99 divided by 11? 9. 9. Almost wrote that word. So we have 6/9 now. Can I go farther?
Yeah.
Yep. What number goes into 6 and 9? 3. Okay, what is 6 divided by 3? 2. And 9 divided by 3? 3. Good. 2/3. Good. Whoever said that you could do divided by 33 is right. Notice that 11 times 3 is 33. So same thing, right?
Yeah.
All right. Number 4. Simplify 9 times 9 times 9. If I write this with an exponent, what will it become? Good. 9 to the 3rd power. 9 raised to the 3rd power. And then it says it challenged you to solve it. How do I solve something like this? Just multiply. Start with 9 times 9. What is 9 times 9? 81. We did those two. Now we need to multiply by our last 9. 1 times 9 is 9. What's 9 times 8? 72. So we've done 729 is what it would be if you solved it all the way out. All right. There it happens. How do we do online? You okay with that warm up? Yes, no, maybe so.
I feel
No, I was like this.
Okay.
Like I got dizzy.
Awesome. Okay.
Like the whole world was moving.
So, I'm gonna go ahead and get this set up, Joan. Technically, the world is moving, yeah.
Oh man.
We'll do quizzes tomorrow, but not today.
No, like after the one class, when is it when the world stops?
What we learned today.
Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
Okay. So I'm gonna get this set up down below instead. Right here. You do, those of you here need to get your computers out and get logged back in. I'm going to get the presentation going of what we need. So, it is Monday. We are starting a new standard. We're still going to be working with equations and variables. We're going to be talking about equations this time, though. So, remember, we've been talking about expressions like x plus 3. Expressions have no equal sign. Right? Do you remember this?
Yeah.
What's the difference between an expression and an equation?
An equation can be completed, expression can't.
Yeah, you can solve an equation. We can figure out what x equals on this because we have something. What would this one be?
1.
1. 1 plus 3 equals 4. Do I know what x is? Let's say I don't have this equation right here. Can I absolutely for sure say what x equals? No, we don't know for sure. We cannot solve this. But when we add our equal sign and make it an equation, we can solve. So what we're going to learn today is how to solve these in different ways. So there's one way to solve, but we can do it with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So we have a set of notes that we're going to go through those today, and then the rest of the week is kind of practice on it, really. We'll talk about how to write them as well, but on Google Classroom, if you go down to math, you should have a new assignment. Well, then reload your page and hopefully it's there. Let's see. One-step equation guided notes. Is it there for you guys? It should hopefully pop up. If not, reload your page. And it's a Google Doc that everybody should have their own copy of. You guys will be typing in it, so you need to make sure you're following along. I do check to see that you guys are filling these out because that's how I know you're following along with me as I do these. I don't just do them to hear myself talk. No, you don't need to do the date or your name. So I'm going to give you guys about 1 minute to get this open.
I'm gonna do some problems on our own, or because they look easy. No, it's not that. They look really hard. Okay, now they're good. How would you?
Okay.
I don't get it.
We haven't started it. Please stop saying you don't get it before I've explained one thing. Kind of frustrating. Okay. So we're going to be solving these one-step equations. One-step equation means you do one thing to solve it. There are two-step equations where you do 2 steps to solve it. But we're just going to stick with one for right now. We don't need to do the 2 just yet. So, first one. What is our goal when solving one-step equations? You guys don't know this yet, but your goal is to isolate the variable. I also highlighted it down there. What does it mean to isolate something? If someone is isolated. No, not to put it in ice. Nice try though. What does it mean to isolate someone? Okay, how about this? Think about it in terms of COVID. That list. Yes. So if you think about it in terms of COVID, people are self-isolating. What are they doing? They're separating themselves from people. So isolate means to get alone. To get alone. Or to be alone. No, alone. To be all by yourself. So the goal is to put the variable on one side of the equal sign all by itself. Isolate the variable. So that means get the variable on one side of the equal sign all by itself. So you want to move the other stuff in your equation so that your variable is all alone. Huh? Yeah, you guys can type in this. Please do. What?
I just typed that. You have to type it in. Yes, yourself. Oh, I thought some of it was already dead.
No, you type it in.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the underline thing. It does it itself? Do you not want it to? Yeah, you can unclick the underline button or underneath the first question, what is our goal when solving equations? Yep. Okay, so I'm going to give you a second to type that out.
I didn't know how to do the parentheses. I figured it out. But 9 and 0. I'll figure it out.
You gonna look for a video for a picture?
Until you check.
Probably not. We're moving on from Egypt already.
You told me you were going.
And shit, no?
Greece. That's in Rome.
But I have to use it for nothing. Again.
This,
It is true
no.
that, it is true the pyramids were made to capture people. We could have
Yeah, I already knew that from Peabody Pyramid.
Okay. So, oh, let me zoom in. Sorry, I probably could have made this a little bit bigger for you guys. There we go.
Might just come jump over here. And 10,000 BC to 10,000 BC.
This is the part that this is the only part we've done. Yeah. All right. So this next part here says that in order to isolate the variable, to get it all alone, we must get all of our numbers, just like the constants, the numbers by themselves, onto one side and then of the equal sign, and then our variable all alone on the other side. We get our numbers to the opposite side of, not of the variable. Okay, change this. This is not variable. This is equation. Change it from variable to equation, please. I don't know why it said variable. So you need to get your numbers to the opposite side of the equation by using the inverse operation. It's a very fancy word, so we'll talk about what it means. But change that word from variable to equation, please. You can highlight it. I just want to make sure that you change it from variable to equation. Did I have an S on it? Okay. Did you make the writing white?
No.
Can you see it? Okay.
Wow. It's like asking a student, may I see it? You're like, teacher, no.
Do we have to type in the equation?
Yeah, because it's the wrong word. So you need to get rid of variable and put in equation.
So this is basically like correcting words.
On this one, you're correcting the one word. Why are you guys questioning so much today?
These persons don't know how to do it.
These guys are talkative. They are.
So are you suddenly. Can we guys, people in class need to stop talking, please. Okay, so the word variable was wrong, needs to be changed to equation. It has nothing to do with the standard, it's just the wrong word. You just need to fix it.
Oh.
Okay? Now it says, when you have the correct word in there, to get our numbers to the opposite side of the equation, you need to use the inverse operation. What does the word inverse mean? Any ideas what the word inverse means? Opposite, good. Inverse means opposite. This one's already underlined for you. It means opposite. Opposite. So you need to use the opposite operation. Operation means add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So you need to use the opposite to get rid of it on one side of the equation. No, type the words, please.
Okay.
I'm not asking you to type a lot.
I got it.
Okay, so we need to use the opposite operation, which means, let's fill out this part. The inverse of addition. What is the opposite of addition? Subtraction. I don't know why this label there. Hang on. No, subtraction. Yeah. Good choice. Okay, so the inverse of addition, the opposite of addition is subtraction. Then let's do the next one. What is the opposite of subtraction then? Addition. Okay, our next one. What is the opposite of dividing? Multiplication. You're going to multiply instead. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the opposite of dividing would be to multiply. And then finally, what would be the opposite of multiplying something? Division. Okay, I'll give you a minute on this to just, get it typed out. Okay, the key part in all of these is just doing the opposite. Whatever you see, if it's an addition, if you see x plus 3, you got to subtract 3 then. We'll do the examples together. I don't have you doing them on your own just yet. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit. Okay, so we only have 4 examples here. So these examples, we have n plus 8 equals 17. So we have an n plus 8 on one side of your equation, and then we have a 17 on the other. It told us that we need to get all the numbers on one side of the equal sign. And then it also told us that if you see addition, you need to do the opposite. What is the opposite of addition? Subtraction. Mm-hmm. Yep. To get rid of it, yeah. So your goal is to get rid of this adding 8 and move it to the other side. The way you do that, it's like a balance. So if I have 8 on one side, like this positive 8, and I subtract it, then I suddenly just got this balance beam off track, right? So if I subtract 8 on one side to get the variable all by itself, I also have to subtract 8 from the other side to make sure it stays balanced. So you would subtract 8 on one side, and then on the other side of your equal sign, you're also going to subtract 8. If you subtract 8 on one side, you absolutely have to do it on the other side. Every time. It's a balance. If you do one thing to one side of your equation, whether you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, then you have to do it on the other side as well. And I know that you can probably look at this and be like, n plus 8 equals 17. Oh my God, that's 9. I'm sure that you guys can just do that in your head. But these get harder as you go along. So this is the basic way to solve it. It gets harder as you get older. That's why we do it kind of easy right now. Okay, so no, you do it minus 8 on both. If you subtract 8 on one side, you must subtract 8 on the other side. Oh, well, we'll get to the next one. Hang on. Okay, because we're not done here. If you want to, you can, let's see, insert. No, I don't want that. I don't want a division sign because we're not dividing. No, it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna do a little equal sign because when we do this, this is kind of what we do. We put a line underneath it just to show we're doing this. Now, if you look at this positive 8 minus 8, what is 8 minus 8? 0. They just kind of cancel each other out. They're gone. So 8 minus 8 gives you 0. So that means that what you're left with on the bottom is just n. On the left side of your equation, you got rid of that 8. So now you only have n left on that side of your equation. Okay? So you got rid of the 8s. Now you need to do on the other side of your equation that math that you just moved over. What is 17 minus 8? 9. We just started. Give it some time. Okay, so you subtract 8 on both sides and you're left with n equals 9 because you actually do the subtraction to get rid of it. Your goal is to cancel out the numbers on one side and subtract it on the other side. The way that we typically write it, because I can't really show it to you on the thing. So we have n plus 8 equals 17, right? Typically, I tell you guys to draw an upside down T. So you split your equation in the middle where your equal sign is. So now you know you have your two sides of the equation. You guys see the two sides? Okay? Then we know that the opposite of adding 8 is subtracting 8. If you do it to this side of your equation, you must do it to the other side as well. And then like we just said, positive 8 minus 8 is 0. It just cancels out. It's gone. You don't need it anymore. So all you have is n, drop down your equal sign, and then you solve your equation. Does that help a little bit more? See the visual? It's hard to do that on the computer. I like showing it like this a little bit better. So we'll probably do this as well. Yes, on most of these you can guess already what the answer is. But like I said, it will get harder the farther along you go in math. Once you get to high school, you'll do similar things to this as this, but much harder. Like a lot more steps, different things. So in 6th grade, we learn the basics of it so that you can build on it as you get older. Okay? So let's look over at our second one here. We have n minus 8 equals 17. Okay? N minus 8 equals 17. You would draw your upside down t to start out with. Upside down t. You see the upside down t?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's kind of hard to do on a computer, so we'll just hit enter. What is the opposite of subtracting 8? What would be the opposite of subtracting 8? Adding 8. So this would be, not an equals. We would need to add 8 on both sides to get rid of our subtracting 8. Okay. So in order to get rid of that minus 8, we need to add 8 to both sides. And then I'm going to draw my line underneath here. And if I show that to you back behind me on the whiteboard, that means that we're adding 8 to both sides.
Oh, let's see. There's that. That's fine. You really don't have to put the plus, do you?
Yeah, you do, because we subtracted the other one and now we're adding. So you want to make sure you're doing the correct one. Okay. What?
We're trying to figure out what the n equals.
We're trying to figure out what n equals, yes.
Okay, then I got all of them.
Okay.
So I thought like we were doing something else if we were doing like the minus 8 or something.
Well, yes, but you need to be doing it this way as well because this is a big part of algebra later. That's why I teach you this method. I completely understand that you can just be like, oh my gosh, 9 plus 8 is 17. I'm not giving you hard problems to do. It's just that it's going to get harder. That's why we're learning this method with easier problems. Okay. So now we know we have a negative 8 plus 8. What does that become? Negative 8 plus 8 cancels out at 0. This is a 0, so it goes away, and all you're left with is n. And then you drop down your equals. So if we type that in, it's n equals, and then we do 17 plus 8, which is 25. 25 is your answer on that one. Yep. Nope, we are not at multiplication and division yet.
Why does math have to be so hard? Some people aren't good at math, and that's me.
All right, the next one, we have 9 equals x minus 4. This time, your variable is on the opposite side of the equation. Do you think that matters?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. You can still do the same stuff. So we can still draw our upside down t, or in this case, type on the next line. Now we have a minus 4. What's the opposite of subtracting 4? Adding 4. We need to add 4 because you need to do it to both sides of our equation on this one. Plus 4. So it would look like this if you're writing it out. Add 4, add 4. And then we would have our line. Okay. Now we're left with, over here on this side, we have x minus 4 still. So this is minus 4 plus 4, or negative 4 plus 4. What does that come to? Negative 4 plus 4. No. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. They always cancel out. What we're doing here is making this stuff go away. So your goal is to cancel it out to equal 0. So if you have a negative 4, to make it 0, it would be adding 4. So you'd have 0 over here, and you're left with your x. And that equals, what is 9 plus 4? 9 plus 4. 13. 13 equals x. So we could write down here 13 equals x. Now that looks a little bit different than what we have been doing, but you are able to just flip it around and say x equals 13. They mean the same thing. Doesn't matter which order it's written in. 13 equals x or x equals 13 mean the same thing.
I just typed down the other one you did too.
Okay. All right, let's do this last one. We have a second page to work on though. Very similar, it's just the multiplying and dividing part of it instead of adding and subtracting. So we have 12 equals x plus 8. We would draw our upside down t. Okay. Yep. Now we have a plus 8 over here. What's the opposite of adding 8? Subtracting it. Subtracting 8. If I subtract 8 on this side, what do I have to do on this side? Make it a balance. If I subtract 8 over here, what do I have to do here? Also subtract 8. Okay, you do it to both sides every single time. Okay, so let's type that out. We have minus 8 minus 8. We're subtracting 8 on both sides of our equation here. Okay, now when we do that, this is a positive 8 minus 8. What is 8 minus 8? 8 minus 8. 0. They cancel out. It's gone. What are we left with on this side of my equation? Not 0. What's left? X. X is left over, and that's going to equal, what is 12 minus 8? 4. X is going to equal 4. So in this case, it would be 4 equals x, or if you prefer, you can flip it to be x equals 4. Both work. They still mean the same thing, yes.
I thought it was something different.
No, because I already said they mean the same thing. Yeah.
So just another 4 problem.
Okay. Give you about a minute to make sure you got that typed out. These are the examples. So you want to make sure you have it. Skylar, will you sit up, please?
He's out like a light.
No, he's not. He's staring at me.
Oh.
Sit up, please. All right, let's look at our next page down here. This is where we're going to talk about the multiplying and dividing part of it, okay? So you can also do one-step equations with multiplication and division. It looks a little bit different though, but it's the same thing. You still need to use the opposite one. So if you see a problem that is multiplying, you need to divide to get your answer. If you see a problem that is division, you need to multiply to get your answer. So let's do a couple examples. First off, this one right here doesn't have anything in it. 6a equals 66. Is this multiplying or dividing?
Multiplying.
Multiplying, good. 6a means 6 times a, but we don't use an x or the multiplication sign because that looks like a variable, right?
Yep.
We've talked about that. They can do, sometimes they'll put, let's see. They might put a parentheses or a dot to symbol multiplication. Let me see if I can find one. None of those are good.
I still remember that from like second grade, dot, not a lot.
None of these are really dot. Ah, there we go. Let's see. It might be something like that. So like 6 times A. Do you see? It's very little. They might throw in a little dot to show that it's multiplication, but we have learned that if you have a number in front of a variable and it's attached to it, they're being multiplied. Remember, they're being married. This is where the married and divorced comes in. Okay? 6 times A are married together. They're married. They're stuck together.
I wonder if they have kids.
No, stop. What is the opposite of multiplication? Division, which also starts with a D, as well as divorce. So in order to get rid of the 6 in front of it, we need to divide on both sides. Let's see. This is very hard to type in. I'm going to underline it. So that looks like we're dividing, right? Fraction bar means dividing. We're going to divide on both sides by the number in front of your variable. So we're going to divide both sides by 6. Okay? Both sides get divided by 6. Okay.
I think being creepy right behind me.
Sorry. Focus, please.
Yeah, it's scary.
Oh.
It was like I'm in a horror movie.
You'll be fine.
This is scary.
It's going to be a horror movie if you keep talking when I'm talking. Okay, so we have 6A equals 66, right? Oops, that's a very long one. If we do our upside down T, the opposite of multiplying by 6, it would be dividing by 6. And if you do it on one side of your equation, you absolutely have to do it on the other side of your equation. Skylar, sit up, please. Dividing by 6. What is 6 divided by 6 equal? 1. So these go away, and you're left with 1A. Because remember, 1A is just A, right? We'll type it in a second. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, and then your A is still there, 1A. Or if you prefer to write it without the 1, it's the same thing, right? A and 1A are the same thing. Then we do our rest of it. What is 66 divided by 6? 11. So A equals 11, which makes sense if you plug it in. 6 times 11 equals 66, correct? Okay. So let's see. If we type that in, that would look kind of like this with our equals 66. It could be 1A equals 11, or if you prefer to type it as A equals 11. What? Well, it does kind of look like a face. You are correct. Okay. So there's a division one, or multiplying. Yeah, they're the same thing. 1A is the same as just having an A. You just don't have to have the coefficient in front of it of 1. It's just kind of an invisible one. Okay, our next one here says 15 equals K divided by 5. So when it is on top of each other like that, K divided by 5, this fraction bar means you're dividing. What is the opposite of dividing? Multiplying. We need to multiply by 5. So we're going to multiply by 5 on each side. Technically, this would kind of look like this, right? Times 5 over 1. These just cancel each other out. They just go away. 5 divided by 5 is what? Nope. 1. So they cancel out and you're left with 1K or just K, right? It's the same thing. And then we just have to have our equal sign and do the opposite. 15 times 5. What do you get when you do 15 times 5? 75.
That's a lot. 75 equals K or 1K?
75 equals 1K. So on this one, instead of, you have some dividing by 5 on one side. Let's see how we can write this. So this is going to look like times 5 on this side, and you're going to multiply times 5 on that side. And when you do your equals, because 5 divided by 5 is 1. You are. So this is some unknown number k over 5 times 5 over 1, right? So k times 5 is 5k. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 over 5 cancels out to be 1. Okay.
1K?
Basically, when you multiply by the number on the bottom, it just cancels each other out and you're left with 1 of whatever variable you have.
It kind of sounds like you say 1K. If that kind of sounds like you say 1K.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 75 equals 1k, which is also the same thing as saying 75 equals k. They mean the same thing, right? All right. 2 more examples here. On this one, we have 32 equals 8y. What is the operation happening between 8 and y? What operation is happening between 8 and y? They're multiplying. This is being multiplied together. Or as I have said before, they're married. They're being multiplied. What would be the opposite of multiplying? Dividing. Or we're going to divorce them and get them separated, right? But it works. It's a good analogy. So we need to divide on both sides. So what is the opposite of multiplying by 8? Dividing by 8 on both sides. Oh, I don't want to underline. Sorry. A lot of people's parents are divorced. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. We don't need to talk about it. We don't need to talk about families in context of this. We're just talking about the fact that 8 and y are married. They're being multiplied. In order to get them separated, they need to be divided or divorced. That's just a good way of showing it. Good way to say it. Nice and easy. Okay? Can we move on, please? Okay. So on Skylar, I need you to stop making comments. So if we're dividing by 8 on both sides, let me write it up here. So we have 32 was on one side equals 8y. When we divide on both sides by 8, first of all, we can just do 32 divided by 8. What do you get? 4 equals. Now on this side, 8y divided by 8. You can kind of ignore the y first. What is 8 divided by 8? 1. And you're left with your y over here. So they cancel to become 1. Another way to write that would be 4 equals y. And if you would like to flip it, y equals 4 is also correct. Lots of different ways to write this one. Okay, so we'll write all of those down. So we have 4 equals 1y. 4 equals y, and y equals 4. Those all literally mean the same exact thing. If we were to plug y back into our equation and do 4 times y, what would we get? Or sorry, 8 times 4, what would we get? 8 times 4? 32, which is our answer is here. All right. We have one last one. C divided by 2 equals 10. What would be the opposite of dividing by 2 on both sides? Multiplying by 2. So we have C divided by 2 equals 10. We need to do the opposite of dividing by 2 on both sides. What's the opposite again? Multiplying by 2. If I multiply by 2 on the one side of my equation, do I have to do it on the other side? Absolutely do. Multiply it by 2. What else? after we're done with this problem. So these twos will cancel each other out, right? And we are left with just C, or 1C. 1C. What is 10 times 2? 20. Or you can write it as C equals 20. And would that make sense? If I had 20 divided by 2 equals 10? Is that correct answer? 20 divided by 2 is not 10? Yeah, it is 10. So, you need to multiply by 2 on both sides to get your answer for that one. Let's get that typed out. Huh.
So you don't actually have to give us the 10?
We don't have to what?
You don't actually have to give us the terminal?
I'm confused about what you're asking me. Some of them might, but right now you're solving for it instead of me giving it to you. Yeah. Okay, so we have 1C. Yep, once you get this typed out, you can turn it in, which you'll still be able to see it on Friday. Yeah. We'll do more practice with this. I know that was kind of a lot at once. I'm sorry, I'm going to stop the recording.